Picture yourself somewhere remote. No power lines stretching to the horizon, no hum of an electrical grid humming beneath your feet. The air is thick, the ocean churns endlessly in every direction, and the only light cutting through the dark comes from a small kerosene burner flickering quietly in a steel corridor. It's the 1940s, the war is raging across the Pacific, and this flame, this single disciplined flame, doesn't power a radio or charge a battery. It powers cold. This is the story of one of the most counterintuitive survival technologies ever deployed, a refrigerator that ran on fire. How fire makes cold, the science behind the magic. The technology is called absorption refrigeration. Rather than using electricity to compress a gas, an absorption system uses heat to drive a chemical reaction between two substances, typically ammonia and water. When ammonia evaporates under the right conditions, it pulls thermal energy away from a surrounding space, creating cold. By the 1920s, companies like Serval had already brought this to market, selling kerosene-powered units to rural homesteads across America, where electricity was a luxury, not a given. Into the theatre of war. When the United States entered World War II, the military faced a brutal logistical reality. Aircraft carriers and remote outposts needed reliable cold storage for food, medicine, and, well, morale. But generators were precious, fuel-hungry assets reserved for radios and weapons. Into this gap stepped the kerosene absorption refrigerator. Aboard Pacific carriers, these units found a second life in Navy ready rooms, cramped, smoke-tinged spaces where pilots and crew gathered between sorties, waiting for orders that could send them back into the fire. Sailors decorated everything around them, carving identity into every surface they could claim. A hulking, fire-fed refrigerator sitting in the corner became as much a piece of character as it was equipment, keeping drinks cold during long stretches at sea and anchoring a fragile sense of normalcy amid the weight of war. The maintenance and, well, the discipline. Running one was not a set-and-forget affair. The wick had to be trimmed constantly to prevent soot from choking the burner. Fuel levels needed monitoring. The absorption cycle had to be kept in careful balance, or, the unit lost its cooling entirely. There was no technician to call, no warranty to invoke, just the operator and the machine locked in a daily rhythm of care. This was a microcosm of all off-grid survival. The machine worked only as well as the person maintaining it. That intimacy with your equipment, that refusal to depend on systems you do not understand, resonates just as deeply in today's bushcraft world as it did in a Pacific ready room in 1943. The dangers of early refrigeration were, pretty well known. Household units of the 1920s used methyl chloride, a toxic gas that could silently poison families. In response, Albert Einstein and Leo Szilard patented an absorption refrigerator in 1930, engineered to eliminate moving parts and toxic gas entirely. It never saw widespread deployment, but the vision behind it, safe, simple, grid-independent refrigeration, echoes through every modern conversation about self-sufficiency. The world doesn't wait, neither should you. The forgotten refrigerator that ran on fire is a small chapter in a much larger story about human adaptability. The men and women who kept these machines running did not have luxury or convenience. They had knowledge, discipline, and a willingness to work with what the world gave them. True resilience is not about having everything. It's about knowing how to make do with almost nothing, and doing it with quiet, stubborn determination. If this story stirred something in you, then Fieldcraft Chronicles is your home. Subscribe today, share this video. The knowledge is here, the community is growing. Stay sharp, stay ready, stay curious,